Good morning. It is Friday, May the 16th of 2025. And here in my old Kentucky home, it is very cloudy and we're getting a forecast of some severe thunderstorms today. And yesterday it was so humid, and you know how that usually brings the storms in. So just going to have to kind of keep an eye on things around here. You know, I've got so much on my mind this morning, and just one thing for sure that I wanted to bring to you was the Social Security information. And I want to talk to you a little bit about conflict. But let me first of all tell you about the Social Security. The office called me this morning. You know, I just so appreciate if somebody tells you they're going to do something at a certain time that they do it. You know, like if you've got a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock today, you know you're not going to get in that doctor's office, don't you, at 1? You may get in there at 1:30 if you're lucky, or maybe even longer. And that just seems the way of the world. But, you know, we have to be on time for whatever we've scheduled. So this morning, the Social Security office was supposed to call me. We had an appointment at 8 o'clock my time. This lady called on the dot, and I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate somebody doing what they're supposed to do for once. But anyway, this is what I found out. And I'm not, you know, whenever they start talking about all this stuff, sometimes it's hard to comprehend all of it. Of course, to them, it just is old hat because they talk it every day. But anyway, and my circumstances will probably be a little bit different from somebody else's because that I was a teacher. Well, let me back up for just a second. In case you have not watched that last video, I had heard, I said I must have been living in a barrel because I'm the only one in the world that didn't know this. But if I draw Social Security and my husband draws Social Security and he draws more than me, I might be eligible to draw part of his if it's more than what I draw. For instance, if I drew $100 a month, and if I drew off of him what he draws, and I could draw $300 a month, I would have to choose between the two, which I would choose the 300. So it depends, I guess, on like what kind of jobs you've had in the past, what you've retired from, because if you've retired from like working as a secretary in an office, or you know, just a job that did not pay a lot, and then your husband like worked construction or worked on a job that he made a lot more money than you did, and he draws Social Security a lot more than you did, then it would be very likely that you could draw more. So you do need to check on that if you think that would be eligible. And I don't even know if I can explain this, but let me tell you what I think that she meant whenever I was talking to her this morning. When I started drawing at 62, see, that's too early. But my thoughts in my head was, well, wonder if I die and I won't get to draw any Social Security. So a little is better than none. So at 62, I drew $237 a month. And I've drawn that for years. And my understanding was that once you start drawing that certain amount, that, you know, it can't be changed. It can't be reevaluated later. And you know that I've told you now, I don't keep up with all this news and stuff because it just confuses me or depresses me. But anyway, as of January 2025, they have had a new law or they've reevaluated or something. But anyway, mine has been changed. And I'm now drawing a little over $600 a month. And that has to do with my teacher retirement. Also, the other day, I had a deposit for over $5,000. Now, I don't know, some of you may have noticed that on your bank statement, so you can check. And that was something to do with my teacher retirement and how that they're doing some back pay. So anyway, I don't know enough about it to explain it to you, but they said that with me drawing the 600 and something a month, that it would be more than what I could draw from my husband. So just as of now, I need to just let it be. So I'm going to let it be. But they did tell me that they need a copy, not a copy, they need to see our original marriage certificate. And so sometime next week, I'm going to try to take it to their office and they'll make a copy of it. So if your husband or your wife is still alive and any of this would pertain to you, you probably they need a copy of that marriage certificate. And I asked that lady, I said, is it important that I do that now or can I wait? Is there any big deal? And she said it would be good to go ahead and do it and let them get it on file. Now, if something happens to my husband, that's going to be a whole different ball game. And I really don't know what that is. And so there's no sense in talking about it because I don't know enough to talk about it. But, the other day when I posted that about the Social Security, and a lot of people already knew about that. But one person didn't that commented to me. And so to me, it was worth even talking about it if it helps one person, because I like to share the good news if it can relate to all of us. So if you know of a couple that might relate to, they might want to check into it. Or if somebody has stayed home or babysat or worked at a daycare or something that didn't pay very much, they might want to check into that. The hardest part of every bit of this was when I called the Social Security office, and you can't get through. It's all so automated. And I think finally I found out that whenever they answer, they start in, with all that robotic stuff. And I pressed 2, and then it'll say what your problem is. Well, you can say something and they'll say, I don't understand. What is your problem? Or, what do you need to ask about? And I don't know how, but I finally got through to a human being. And from there, then they made me this appointment that I could either do it on the phone or I could drive, which is about an hour away, to the office. So I did it by phone call. It was great. Try it, see what you can find out. I don't really have a lot. I've got a lot to say, you know that, but I didn't even write me down hardly anything. But I do want to tell you that this morning I walked out on the back porch and I was looking at the strawberries and I thought, I believe I can get a few strawberries. So I went back in and got me a little bowl and picked probably 3 cups, I would guess. But I don't think they're going to make much this year. They just look a little squirrely, and I should have put some Miracle Grow on them. I've just not had. I've probably had the time. I haven't had the mentality to do it. So I'll just pick what I can get. And I was going to show you all me picking them, but guess what? My husband was home. I can't pick them with him there and be recording because he's going to say, what in the world are you doing? So I'll try to record me picking some whenever he's not there one day, okay? So that'll be something to look forward to, won't it? That will be so exciting. But I was thinking about how we all deal with conflict in our lives. Now, I am 73 years old, and you know that. And I'm too old to be dealing with conflict. I thought I'd been all through that. But you know how we want to protect our young, our children, our spouse, our animals, how we protect them. I watched this video. I wish I could think of the name of it. Well, it's this guy's name. It's Ruben something, and they live in another country. And they have a lot of animals that they'll take, like orphan animals. And they have a baboon named Cindy. And they have had this baboon since she was a baby. In fact, she is older than the two sons of this mother that took the little bamboo in and raised it. And now she's just kind of old and grumpy. This baboon is. I mean, she's probably 25 or 30 years old. And they make videos of her, and she's blind, just pitiful. But I mean, she's so loved, and she sleeps in the house now that she's gotten older, and she's probably got arthritis and can't hardly get along. But she has this mothering instinct. And they have had, they have now and throughout the years, like different orphan animals that people will bring them and say, can you take care of this baby that, the mother was killed or rejected or something? And they have several warthogs, and they had a porcupine, and they've got a lot of little muskrats, I think. And this baboon has mothered all these animals when they were little. And when she gets around them, she'll get them, she'll get them up in her arms and just hold them up here and just make this sound, like a motherly sound to them. And these animals, look to her as their mother because she's a protector. Now, this young boy that lives there, and just sweet as can be, sometimes he will tease Cindy the baboon. And like if one of those animals are close to her, and if he picks it up and it squeals or something, she will lash out at him, like trying to get him with her hands, because she's so protective. And he just does it sometimes to aggravate her. It's just kind of, it's really cute to watch their interaction. If I can think of the last name, I'll put that down in the description. And I think about how we are as mothers, how we are protective. And you might think back about in school, if you thought your child was doing wrong, was being done wrong, I should say, that you will hold up for them. You may have to have some confrontations with some people that you don't want to. Let me just tell you this one little incident. This was back in elementary school. That my girl came home and she was crying that these two girls were bullying her. Of course, they're always throwing that word out, bullying. When I was in school, I don't even know if that word was in the dictionary. I don't think we ever heard about bullying. But this went on for several days, and it was close to the end of school. And there was not hardly any days left of school, and she came home one day crying. And I knew the mothers of both of these girls, good people. I knew them, acquainted. They weren't close friends or anything. And I said, do you want me to call their mothers and tell them that these girls, were mistreating you, like out on the playground, wouldn't play with her, was saying ugly things to her and stuff like that? Well, she did, and we talked about it on several, different times. So I called each of the mothers on the phone. Well, one of the mothers just started crying when I was talking to her, and I wasn't being mean. I wasn't being accusing. I was just saying, will you talk to your daughter and see if this is true, or if there's something about my girl that she doesn't like, or if my girl was doing something that was causing this. I wasn't trying to cause any problems. I was trying to think, my girl wanted to be friends, or I thought she was friends with these girls. So the mother was crying. Said, I can't believe my daughter would do that. That, my daily job is with working with, troubled kids and stuff. And I've seen all this, and I sure don't want her doing this. She knows better. And I said, well, I'm not mad or anything, but just talk to her about it tonight and just see what she says. So then I called the other mother, and she was pretty accepting, and everything was hunky-dory. And I said, just talk to her and let's see if we can get to the root of the problem. Well, then this mother called me back later that night, and she was furious. And she had done a 360 and was just accusing my girl, of all this. ended up, because of that one confrontation on the phone with those two mothers, we've never had a good relationship. Now, that's been 10 or more years ago. So was it worth it? And it's not, I know that I can't be friends with everybody, but where is the breaking point where that you stand up for your child? If I had it to do over, I don't think I would have said anything to them. I'm not sure, but I don't think I would have. This year, senior year, I have been faced with, a couple of situations. One in which I did talk to a teacher, which, it didn't help. It didn't help do anything. I even talked to the superintendent about this problem. Not that I actually wanted anything done, but just that I wanted him aware of how this teacher had talked and done my child. I wasn't saying, I want you to go up there and fire her. I want you to jump all over. I wanted him to be aware of a situation. Well, I'm in that situation again. And guess what it's about? Softball. My daughter ended up quitting this week. And the season was just about over. And some of the people were saying, well, why didn't you wait? The season's almost over. But you know what my thinking is? If I'm doing something that I hate for one more day at my choice, then that's on me. And we've talked about this softball all season. It's been a pain in the butt for all of us because she hadn't gotten to play, and she has been treated unfairly. But she's learned a lot of good life lessons. So this week, Tuesday night, she came to me crying and she said, I'm not going to stay. And there was a game last night, supposed to be a game tonight, but there won't be because of the rain. And then maybe a game next week. She said, I just can't do it anymore. Because if the team got punished for something, she was punished along with them, although she's not played. She's not even been on the list to play. And she's the only one on that JV and varsity game or teams. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it, but that's beyond me. But anyway, a couple of the other girls that have played every game this year have been punished. And so one of them's mother called me or texted me this morning, and she said, I'm going to meet with the superintendent this morning. She said, do you want to meet with me? And I said to her, you have a lot more in this game than I do because, the season's over for us. And your daughter's got to play. My daughter's never got to play. And so we talked for a while, and I said, yes, I'm going to go with you. Of course, I know the superintendent very well. He's a good friend. I had him in school. And I'm not going to tell him, hey, fire the coaches, go jump all over the coaches. I'm going to talk to him about that I don't want other kids in the future to be treated like mine has been treated. And if my daughter was not as strong as she is, this could have destroyed her self-esteem, self-confidence, the way they have talked to her, the way they've done her, the way they've ignored her. But because I'm not going to take full credit for it, but I have talked to her every day. I talk to her and encourage her, and I'll say, don't make a decision when you're mad. Don't go in there and quit a sport when you're mad. You need to sleep on it. You need to think about it, what you want to do. And it's not been a good situation. But anyway, today, in a couple of hours, I'm going to go. I'm going to meet with this other mom, and we're going to talk to the superintendent. She's got a lot more to complain about because her daughter has played all year. Mine hadn't. But anyway, oh, and it's so dark in here. I don't know if I can read this funny story. Let me see if this... Oh, there's a little lamp that's on. That's okay, isn't it? This screen seems a little grainy, but I don't know. All right, let me read you this funny story because I need to get off here. My goodness gracious. All right. Yesterday, my daughter-in-law emailed me asking why I didn't do something useful with my time. Like me sitting around the pool and drinking wine is not a good thing, I ask. My doing something useful seems to be her favorite topic of conversation. She was only thinking of me, she said, and suggested that I go down to the senior center and join something. I did this, and when I got home last night, I decided to play a prank on her. I emailed her and told her that I had joined a parachute club. She replied, "Mother, are you nuts? You're 78 years old and now you're going to start jumping out of airplanes?" I told her that I even got a membership card and emailed a copy to her. She immediately telephoned me and yelled, "Good grief, Mom, where are your glasses? This is a membership to a prostitute club, not a parachute club." I calmly replied, "Oh my, I think I'm in real trouble then because I signed up for 5 jumps a week." The line went quiet and her friend picked up the phone and said that my daughter had fainted. Life as a senior citizen is not getting any easier, but sometimes it can be real fun. Just because you're young doesn't mean that you can outsmart an old geezer. Remember, don't make old people mad. We don't like being old in the first place, so it doesn't take much to tick us off. Hey, you have a great day and a great weekend, and let's pray for each other. I'm praying for so many people that's got sick spouses or got sickness themselves. Comfort, encouragement to be happy and enjoy each day. And I'm going to take off these glasses. I will see you the first of the week if I can think of something to talk about, but I feel like I will. So thanks for everything, for everybody listening to my rants, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.